Ooh, we looking at a Phanteks case today? Yup. Not only do we got the brand new Phanteks Eclipse G400A PC case, we've also got their brand new Glacier 1 AIO and M25 fans we'll be looking at today. Looks like Phanteks is dropping some heat. I say we start looking at the case first. Let's do it. So the G400A is the upgraded successor to the really popular P400A, and it comes in black or white and has an MSRP of $100 USD. So let's take a good look at the exterior. So it looks like we've got an all mesh front panel. The top consists of mostly mesh, at least where fans and or a radiator would sit. Our top I/O consists of a power button, a reset button, a combo audio jack, some USB Type A ports, and a USB Type C port. We've got a glass side panel with the Phanteks logo down here. And then we've also got an RGB strip going along the side of the case. And then down here, it's actually all mesh. Then we've got a 2-inch gap at the bottom. So it looks like there's a ton of spots for fresh air to get into the chassis. The back panel is mostly solid, except for this mesh strip down here, which resembles the side, the opposite side. The rear consists of ventilation for the rear fan. Got some more ventilation over here. We've got our power supply cavity, our PCIe slot covers, and our motherboard cavity. So very interesting case so far, but let me show you how to take off all of these panels, and then we'll take a look at the inside. So the G400A will come pre-installed with 4 140mm fans. We've got 3 intake on the front and 1 exhaust on the rear. And these are the M25 fans. And like I was saying earlier, we're going to be taking a look at and installing the 120mm variant at the bottom and at the top. So we're going to have a nice uniform look. And I'm really happy that Phanteks decided to go with their premium fan as the pre-installed fans, because a lot of case manufacturers have a tendency to cheap out on the included fans. We can fit up to 3 120mm fans at the bottom. We can fit up to 3 120mm fans at the top, or up to a 360mm radiator. We can fit up to eATX size motherboards with a width of 280mm. And then we can also support back connect ATX motherboards. That's what all of these cutouts are going around the motherboard tray. We've got some grommets for cable management. Then we've also got this hole at the bottom, which looks like it's for GPU cables, but doesn't look usable if you're running bottom fans. And the front fans do come with a dust filter that is installed in front. It's magnetic, so super easy to remove and clean when the time comes. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back. So we've got all of our top panel cables coming down through here. And we've got things like HD audio, we've got USB Type A, we've got our USB Type C, we've got our unified front panel connector. Let's see, we've got the connection for the RGB strip. And this is if you're using the Phanteks controller, but if you're not, they also have a 5-volt RGB connection, so that's cool. It'll fit ATX size PSUs. And obviously they will sit horizontal. And then down here is this SATA tray, which can fit SATA drives. And it's removable with one captive thumb screw. But I'm not going to be using SATA drives, so I decided to take it out. And then Phanteks has this little cable management tray in the back, so we'll have to see how handy this is. But it looks like it has 2 channels. Looks like one channel for our motherboard cable to come out here, and then our CPU cables to come up here. And then it looks like a fan controller can sit right here, and then we have these little separations in it for different cables. So we'll have to see how handy that is. And then there's also a dust filter that sits underneath the power supply. It looks pretty sweet. Tell me about the AIO. So it's the Phanteks Glacier 1 360 M25 G2, and it's a 360mm radiator available in white, and it's also available in black, which we'll be using today because we've got a black case, and it's compatible with most common Intel and AMD sockets. So let's go ahead and put this to the side and actually look at the AIO itself. So we've got a black radiator with the Phanteks logo on the side, our 2 tubes going towards the water block, and we've got the Phanteks logo printed out on the bottom. We've got this cool mesh design with a 60mm fan underneath, and that's used to cool VRM components. And then we've got that familiar infinity mirror in the middle. So we're gonna have a nice uniform look across the fans and now the AIO. We've got pre-applied thermal paste. As far as the connections go, we've got a 3-pin to go towards a motherboard fan header. And then we've got this connection if you're using the Phanteks controller, that's not included. But if you're not, there's an adapter that will split it into a 5V RGB and PWM connection to go towards your motherboard. And then on this side is where your radiator fans will plug into. And then speaking of fans, they are the familiar M25. So we got that huge infinity mirror in the middle of them, and they are daisy chained, and they're actually screwed together, which is really interesting. So there's definitely no chance of these becoming separated. So that's cool. Once again, they're daisy chained, and we've got one cable coming from them that goes into that AIO cable. So that's nice and easy. So these should look great with all the other M25 fans. And then for the bottom, we've got this group of M25 fans, and these are actually reversed. So they do make a reverse blade variant, and these are them right here. I know it's hard to tell a difference, but these are the reverse blade. So you can kind of see how the blades slant down to the left. If we look at the regular blade ones, these actually slant to the right. So that's a good way to tell the difference between a regular blade and reverse blade. And another cool thing about these fans is once you've got these screwed in, they come with these little caps right here, and you can easily put these over. So now you have a really clean look. So they come with all of those caps to cover every corner. So this build should look really good as far as the fans and the AIO goes. And I can't wait to benchmark this AIO. All right, you've been yapping enough. Let's start the build. That went really smooth and it came out looking real nice. Tell me about the finished build. The build was really smooth actually, and it ended up turning out fantastic. I'm really happy with the end result with this build. I love how all the fans look with those infinity mirrors, and I love how the AIO looks the same as all the fans. I've never really seen that, and it looks really cool. And it's just crazy to think that a case that's not that big can house all of these fans. With those massive 140s in the front and the rear, and then 6 more 120s, 3 on the bottom, 3 on the top. It looks really cool. You can see some light shining through the bottom mesh part, which is interesting. Looks like that's due to the bottom fans, and then also a little bit of that bottom front fan. You can see some of our PSU cables. But overall, a fantastic looking build. But let's take off these panels and talk about the inside. So we'll start this off with what's in the build. So we've got an Asus X870E motherboard. We've got a 7800X3D CPU. We've got 32 gigabytes of crucial RAM. We've got a 2 terabyte Samsung 990 Pro NVMe. And we've got an Asus TUF 7800 XT. And obviously we've got the Glacier 1 AIO from Phanteks, and then the M25 fans all around. And for our power supply, we've got the Phanteks Revolt 1000 watt PSU, and then we've got their complete cable kit. And we'll talk about that in just a sec. But as far as the build process, it was really easy. I didn't really run into any hiccups, and it was pretty smooth sailing. The only thing that was interesting is the 360 millimeter radiator barely fits at the top of this case. Like, it definitely has enough room, but when you're installing it, the front fan got in the way. So I actually had to pop off the front cover, unbolt the top fan for the front, and then remove it in order to get the radiator in. So just a couple extra steps, but other than that, it was a really easy build. Case is really straightforward, and I had no issues. And once again, all the cable bends, a lot of cables are hidden, and it just looks really, really good. Really happy with this one. All right, so let's talk about the back now, because if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I love me some cable management, and this one turned out fantastic. So like I was saying earlier, this is a Phanteks Revolt PSU, and this is their complete cable kit. So what happens is you get the power supply and no cables are provided, but you order the complete cable kit with it, and then you get a really nice set of braided cables. So you don't have to deal with extensions, and these just look really, really good. Spent a bunch of time, like I always do on cable management, and I'm really happy with it. We've got our controller over here, and it's magnetic. We've got PCIe power, and I'm kind of hiding it above the power supply. You can see it kind of routes above it and then back there, so it's all nice and tucked and hidden. And then we've got CPU cables coming up through here. All my fan cables are hidden behind it, and most of them are coming out and going towards the controller. Then we've got the CPU cables coming up and then over to their spot. Then that cable right there is for the rear fan, and I believe the top fans come through there as well. And then over here is all of our top panel cables. And I was originally going to route them through this channel, but ended up being more natural just doing them over here. And I don't have them zip tied to the case at all. They're just, all the cables are zip tied together, and you can see it just naturally sits there perfectly. So that seemed like the way to go for cable management with this one. But really clean. Love how that turned out. How are temps with all those fans? Okay, so this is the part that I was really looking forward to, was the benchmarks. So I ran all of the fans at about 40%, which is not very high. I believe for these fans, it was about 1400 RPM, but I may have to correct myself. And then for the AIO, I kept it at 70% during all these tests. And then keep in mind, this is 100% load on the CPU and GPU, but the CPU, which is a 7800X3D, got to a max temperature of 74 degrees Celsius. So this AIO is definitely doing its job, and these fans are pushing some major air to get all of that hot radiator air out away from the system. And then for the GPU, the max temperature I saw was 67 degrees Celsius. So the temperatures in this case are absolutely fantastic. And I knew they were gonna be just based off the case design, and especially how many fans there are. Like, I still think it's nuts that this small little case has 10 fans in it. So temperatures were absolutely on point. So what's your opinion on the case and all the parts? So I really enjoyed the build experience with this case. I thought it was fairly straightforward, and then given it is a smaller case, things can be a little tight in a few places, but overall, it was fairly straightforward. And I think it would be good for a first-time builder as well. And at $100 USD, I think this is a fantastic pickup, especially considering the 4 included 140mm fans. Then even if you just wanted to use those fans and just those, I still think temperatures would be absolutely fantastic. Or you can do as I did and do the entire matching look with the reversed bottom fans and then the Glacier 1 AIO for the full complete look. And I just absolutely love this AIO. That is so cool how that 60mm fan matches all the other fans. But I think it looks great, easy to build in, priced really well. And if you're in the market, I think this is something that you should check out to see if it's right for you. Thank you for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below what you think. Subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.